Alright, so in this video we're going to try to make some arrows that'll fit this Cobra RX adder. I've got some Fletch glue here, super glue, which has actually been good for about anything. This is supposed to be insert glue, never used it. We're about to find out how good it is. I use this, I know this is going to be taboo in the bow and arrow business, but I use this to cut the arrows. Obviously this to measure out, this for reference because these two have been made. This here was from the factory, from Go Gun. So we know that this is perfect, and whatever we make has to mimic this exactly. We have some Nocks here, and you can see that these Nocks are not the Half Moon Nocks, but you can't find one in the size that fits this Cobra. So we're going to modify these, and I'll probably end up using some other tools besides the jigsaw. We'll have to figure that one out. We have some tips that'll fit. Here's our fletches. Obviously those are going to have to be cut down. So one piece of equipment that we're missing here is a pair of scissors. I have a Fletch tool that's going to help us, and I've got it set so that we can do two-sided fletches. And this is tricky, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second, because even when you switch this, it doesn't line up with the Nock. So you're going to end up having to put the Nock in, mount your fletches, and then adjust your Nock to match your fletches. Here I have some 32-inch arrows that I bought. These are carbon arrows, and these are of the same spec or greater than what comes here from Go Gun DE. And we're going to be able to make at least 3, if not 4 arrows out of each one of these arrows, so you can see the economics of doing this. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and we're going to get started here. About why we are using these going the hard way around as opposed to using the Half Moon Nocks that came on the standard factory bolt. These are not bolts. This is standard arrow stock, and I want to show you the difference. You can actually see just how much bigger. This right here is a standard crossbow bolt. All right, it's been cut. I've tried to go ahead and make these things for the adder, but this bolt does not fit in here. It's too fat. It's too fat. Those things, this thing was specifically engineered to such a tight spec that it will only take tiny arrow stock. Everybody talks about, well, don't use this. The red vein arrows are plastic and these are carbon. That's why they recommend these for the bow. In fact, if you talk to EK Archery, if you talk to Go Gun says if you use the red vein arrows in this crossbow, it will void the warranty on it. I'm not sure what kind of warranty it covers and how much, even if you had a valid claim, they would cover. But in any event, this is rated for over 130 pounds of pressure. This puts out 130 pounds of pressure. Therefore, this, I don't know a single arrow, even carbon, that can take that on a standard. So we're going to end up having to modify these because, back to this, the only way that you can buy a Nock, a Half Moon Nock, and Half Moon Nocks are, Half Moon Nocks right here. Here's some Half Moon Nocks. Half Moon Nocks, the smallest that you can buy, will only fit in a crossbow bolt. EK Archery Go Gun has somehow found this very proprietary half moon Nock, and this thing fits in an arrow. This is not on the market, and this, I guarantee, it was specifically made for Go Gun and EK Archery. So there's none like it in the world. That's why we're going to have to take this and find a way to turn these into. And this is a factory arrow right straight from Go Gun, and the factory arrows run 8.5 inches long. Here that I have, and I bought these, you can see these are Blazer. They're 2 inches long, which is exactly how long the blue vein and the red vein arrows are from Go Gun. The base of the shaft here and here is exactly a 1/2 inch. And this is 2 inches in length, which is exactly what that is. that the half moon nocks that come from Go Gun are literally a ½ inch sticks out of the arrow itself. Okay, so we're going to just file this a little bit, get those edges off there, and I think we are going to be awfully close to what we need here. Actually, it might even be better. So when we're making these, I need to make sure that we fit at least as good as Go Gun's is going to fit on here. So that's Go Gun's fit, and with the new Nock, this is our fit. This is very good. Now we did this with a small round file. I didn't use the whole thing because it's probably too thick at the top. I used the lower end, and that lower end is only about, looks like about 1/4 inch, ½ centimeter. So I'm going to do what I can to show you why these jigs are, there's really no jig, I don't think, that's made for a 2-vein arrow. But they've got one that's, you can throw in a part, this part right here, that switches out for either a 4-vein or a 3-vein. The problem is that the 4-vein arrow, which you would think would be perfect because, okay, you just put 2 of the veins on, you're good to go, right? Well, the problem that you've got is right there. You can see that this doesn't line up with that. It's off slightly, so this thing's going to have to come just a fuzz over. You've got to find a way to line this up with that so that your veins are going to be perfect. I'd recommend putting on your Nock just loose fit and then setting this thing up, doing your 2 veins because you know that your veins are going to be a perfect 180 degrees apart, and then come back, twist your Nock to line up with the veins the way you want them to, and glue the Nock in. That's going to be the best way to go. But I'd push the Nock in first, loose fit, get your veins on, then line up your Nock. Your tip, your field tip, is round, and even if you're using the broadhead tip, you can use the glue and you can eyeball it and line it up with your veins the way it's supposed to go. So this is our first arrow, and you can see this is where we've scraped off the old veins, so forth. But what I'm trying to get you to see is that that has to line up perfectly with the center of this arrow from front to back. That has to be right on the arrow in order to get that vein exactly where you want it. And we can see that the factory arrow is going to line up right here on our first big mark. That's where our veins are going to go. So we're putting on our first fletch, and as you can see, I just ran this platinum fletch tip stuff I got over at Dick's Sporting Goods. And I put it on here, and you can see that we've got the base of the fletch right here where we had measured before, right there at our pencil mark. And I think that you should be able to take it off after about, I don't know, 20-30 seconds and rotate it. Alright, so I just finished up putting on fletching and so forth, and this turned out better than I thought it would. I mean, it's lined up really good with the arrow itself. The other thing we have to do is we're going to have to trim off these sides here because they're too fat this way compared to the factory fletching. So we'll mark this and then we'll cut it off. If I've got this right, I think you just have to cut it right there even with that line there on the B, and guess what? Both sides have that little B on them, so you'll be able to cut that if you use this particular type Nock, which right now I'm going to recommend because they were really easy to put on, and it says Blazer, 100 pieces here, you can make 50 arrows, right? So looking at this, it looks like the veins are about 5/16 tall. So that's where we're going to measure the yellow veins, the Blazer veins, and get those cut. You can see that our arrow that we just created is the same as the other. It just takes a couple of minutes to do it. So let's make sure that they fit inside the adder. Okay, messing with this. Looked like they were kind of getting stuck. This is the adder. So what was happening is that you can see, that's probably a good shot of it, that these have to be trimmed down more than just a straight cut, but they need to be kind of angled down toward the stock, because you can see that this angles down, so that's going to have to angle down as well. As you can see, that's what the factory arrow does. So here we can see that the arrow is loaded in there just fine. Everything fits. Even those nocks, those yellow nocks, have that skinny portion, which is somewhat close to what these guys are doing. That's more of a just straight edge, and that is a tapered edge right there. But those have to be tapered in. And so where we marked to make our cut, instead of cutting straight across, just go ahead and make your cut toward the front. Okay, this is what we're going to use for the inserts, and I showed you the inserts that we have. The inserts that we have are these right here. Bought these off of Amazon, I think, and these are push in, and I just had the instructions and everything so that here, that way you can kind of see them. It says that I just need to run some glue along here, so we'll do that. On the flat sides. There you go. Let's take our newly created arrow here, and we're supposed to push this in. So we use this, and zoom out a little bit. There we go. And push it in. And we're ready for our field tip. Our field tips are here. These are very inexpensive. All right. Okay, so one thing on making these broadhead, the broadheads that you buy, almost all of them are going to be too wide, again, to fit in the adder. They get stuck right here on the sides. They won't go in there. So what you've got to do is, if you've got a little grinder, you grind off these edges so that you end up with something that looks a little bit more like this. And it just takes a couple of seconds.
I'm crawling around, searching for higher ground. Can't see in front of me, my enemies. I've tried every possibility, ability to know if I can bleed. If that's what you wanted, you won't get it tonight. 'Cause I can fly. I'm crawling around, searching for higher ground. Can't see in front of me, my enemies. I've tried every possibility, ability to know if I can bleed. If that's what you wanted, you won't get it tonight. 'Cause I can fly. I can fly. ground. Can't see in front of me, my enemies. I've tried every possibility, ability to know if I can bleed. If that's what you wanted, you won't get it tonight. 'Cause I can fly, I can fly, I can fly, yeah. I can fly.
Load the new arrows.
I'm crawling around, searching for higher ground. Can't see in front of me, my enemies. I've tried every possibility, ability to know if I can bleed. If that's what you wanted, you won't get it tonight. 'Cause I can fly, I can fly.
Now we have our new arrows loaded up in the Cobra RX adder. Let me demonstrate for you its power.
So we just fired all 4 arrows at 30 meters, and this is what we ended up with. There's fairly decent grouping at that distance, and especially considering that you're just trying to hold that thing to yourself. And I'm an old man, so